Ladies, I am so excited to have you on the podcast today. And I have to make a confession that I have on occasion said I hate math. But if anybody could help me love math and love business and love doing it as sisters, it's you two. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us
Yes,
today.
thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully by the end of this, we can change your mind of
Okay, I
the
will
love
keep
of
an
math.
open mind.
Okay.
Well, Candace and Melinda, tell us about Why Hate Math, why you started it, your journey to starting this business as entrepreneurs, and the impact you're having.
Okay, so I started Why I Hate Math. My background's in math, and I went to college and I actually tutored in something we call a math lab. I went to an HBCU Spelman in Atlanta, and I really loved working with my peers in class. And after that, they were telling me, like, I really love the way you explained this to me. But when I graduated, I did decide to go work in corporate and use my math skills there. I worked at a Big Four, but I still had a passion for teaching math and helping students understand. So I decided I'm going to just have a side hustle. I'm going to do tutoring. And I went to people's homes in New York, and word of mouth kept spreading. And then shortly after, the pandemic hit, and that's when a lot of parents began to reach out and call me and say, I have no idea what's going on with what my child's learning at home. A lot of moms stress that. And I said, okay, I'm going to help.
So as Candace said, this is around the time of the pandemic now. So during that time, we were actually living in the same home. It was two separate apartments, but in the same home. We're always together. But at that time, she was working as a math teacher. At this time, it became remote. And I would listen to the conversations that she was having with the students. And in the beginning, it was initially even just to get the students to turn on their cameras, to get out of bed, and just to kind of just be engaged in what was going on in the classroom setting, although virtual. And even some of the students, I know that the conversations Candace and I had, some of the students who were probably once a top scholar in person was kind of struggling through this period. And then it was just kind of made me tap in and kind of really listen to what their overall struggles were in the subject of mathematics in general. So Candace and I have been talking about building a school environment for about a decade now. So this kind of, it was just fitting. At the time I was working in operations, and my background is also in STEM. I have a degree in biology and medical science. So we just figured we'd merge our skill sets and build upon what she was already starting with the tutoring, at, going into people's homes. So we just figured we'll merge that, and then this came about. We opened up a space in our home,
Yeah.
and we expanded that space. And then once we outgrew that, we just was like, okay, we have to take it to the next level. So that was kind of like the introduction to opening our YH Math Lab Center. So that was kind of the beginning of our baby.
I love that. That is
Yeah.
such an amazing story. And
Yeah.
I think it's so important to build businesses that we can serve in that way. And so many women, especially, don't see what they find easy or innate as something that can help so many other people.
Right.
So did either of you have any like self-doubts or obstacles as you started this business, and how did you overcome those?
Well, so as Melinda was saying, we were in our home, and we opened up at the end of 2020, and students were coming like on the weekend for tutoring. And that was going for a while. And I think I did that for about a year or 2 years. And as we were growing, Melinda kept saying to me, like, we have to get out of the house. We can't just have kids coming in the house all day. I mean, we loved it and it was fun, and they loved it. The kids, they never wanted to go home. And sometimes parents would actually just sit in their car outside and wait for them for as long as it took for them to get their math tutoring in. And then Melinda kept saying to me, we have to open up this new space. But I was nervous because we own the home, and it's like, we can't just write off this rent expense. You're not taking on a whole commercial space lease. But I was actually like really nervous. I was like, oh my God, that's gonna be a big deal, taking this on and making it on a bigger scale. And what if it doesn't work? And it's just a big risk whenever you make a big business move like that. And she just kept telling me like, it will work and I'll be there with you. There with you. I said, really? You cannot say this and then leave me hanging. And she was like, no, I'm gonna be there with you throughout until I can't anymore. Like, I'm just gonna be there for you. So then that actually motivated me to actually come together and say, we're going to sign this commercial lease in Bed-Stuy.
So for me, so I had similar sentiments, but I came from a different point of view. So I had a daughter in February of 2020. So again, this is a lot of stuff going on at this time.
Right.
And I had a daughter, and she was born prematurely. So I needed to dedicate a lot of time to her at that moment. So as I mentioned, I was working in a corporate environment, and my job at the time gave me, along with, all my maternity leaves and so forth, they also gave me like additional time and less projects so I could really focus on her. So, at that time, I'm watching, everything going on around the world. People are coming home, they're working remotely. My husband's in the fire department, so he was on a different schedule to kind of control, the spread of what was going on at the time. And for me, I'm just watching all of this going around, and my life was kind of like, in terms of my professional, was kind of like regressing, as I was getting less projects, and I knew I wasn't having any kind of promotions within my job because I just had this baby. And with her being, needing additional assistance at that time, I just started kind of just reviewing everything that was going on and trying to focus and use what I had available to kind of like source income and just kind of like just learn new skills and just kind of venture off into something different, like many other people during the pandemic. But also having a newborn at that time, you really have this time at home, but you really don't. So it kind of, you kind of start looking at things from a different perspective. Like, am I enjoying what I'm doing? Like, would this work with my schedule for my child and having this new family? So, I really kind of reviewed, and I was just like, maybe this is time for me to kind of like stay at home and kind of build this business from this point of view. So, it was a few challenges, but I think also having a child motivated me to keep going. So yeah, that's kind of right.
Yeah, I love that. I've heard so many times about, women and moms reprioritizing their life. We were all reprioritizing our life at that point and going, what's really important and what do I really need to focus on? And do you think that time, had it not been the pandemic and you had this extra pressure, do you think maybe you wouldn't have taken the step to put your energy behind this and go, I'm going to do this?
That's a really hard question. Because everything, it's in hindsight, but
Right.
I do think that this is something that we always kind of dreamt of. This is something that we really wanted to do for many years. We have so many email, like we look back at email threads and I'm like, wow, like I see similar subject lines from now of us having the business of things that we discussed 10 years prior. So I do think this is something that we would have done, but maybe during that time with having all that extra time probably forced us or kind of gave us a space to, it gave us the opportunity to do it at that time.
Right. I love that. So did you have any doubts that you could make this successful?
It's a lot to get people to trust you with their children.
Yeah.
And then that's one side. And then to also kind of have such an input in such a strong part of their developmental, their academic phase. So that's a huge responsibility. So we knew that we could provide that to people, but the doubt was to see, would people trust us? Could people believe that we could be the people that can help their children to advance?
Mm-hmm.
So once we started getting such great feedback from the community and people were so receptive to us, we were in East New York in Brooklyn, and parents were coming, just for a reference, maybe about 20 to 30 minutes from that location to bring their children. So that was, that was something that kept motivating us, because we're like, there's so many places that they could go in different communities, and they're coming and bringing their children to us in our home, So that was a lot of motivation. And it just kind of kept us going.
Yes.
Yeah, kept us going.
I think that's such a great point, and especially unique to anybody who has a business where they're dealing with children, in that you're absolutely right. As parents, you're like, I have this precious child that I need help with.
Yeah.
And so building that trust is really huge.
Yeah.
And though it sounds like you found a proof of concept and you were able to establish that trust and go from tutoring one-on-one with kids to partnerships, right?
Yes.
So tell us about how that transitioned, and that's just like an amazing development.
Well, we were working with students and we were tutoring, and honestly, we got partnerships because I think I was tutoring one child and it was actually virtual at the time. And I think her mom just overheard the tutoring that was happening, and she was really impressed by what she heard. And then she said, "Wait, do you all do partnerships in schools?" She ended up being a principal, and because of her, she told other principals and she brought us into school, and then we started doing math coaching, and now we're in about 15 schools. And we have partnerships where we're in classrooms, we're working with teachers, and we're really helping with math all around Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think like us being able to establish like these organic relationships really pushed forward our business.
Yes.
Using like marketing, there's so many marketing tools and tips and things you can use. And Candace and I always go back and forth. We talk about social media, we talk about all these different platforms, and we're like, word of mouth has gotten us so far. And it really is, again, coming back to like that trust. And I think parents realize that we do really care about their students. We care about them learning the math, but then we also do care about them, and we really look at them as like the future. People say that often, the children are the future, and we really see them in that place, and we see them as community members in the future, and what roles we want them to be able to establish, and give them the flexibility to choose different areas and different careers, or if they want to be political leaders, whatever. But we want to give them a solid structure, and we know that mathematics, whether your career is heavily focused on math or not, can give you a good starting foundation and overall of how you think and view the world.
Yeah. I love that you're changing the face of what math and success looks like. And I don't know, I just feel that so much, and that just makes me so happy that somebody can go, oh, she looks like me and she's good at math, so I can be good at math. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
So I just think that is phenomenal. But if there is a mom listening to this podcast who's like, oh my gosh, my child is struggling and I don't know what to do, give us some of your secret sauce on some of the resources that you share, and some of that way that you convey to your students. I love how you approach students as individuals, and like you said, the future, and you want to engage them, and you want them to have overall confidence, and you really support and nurture them with your approach. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing, that parents who are frustrated with their children's place in math or school can really take from you as a way to help them. So speak to those parents listening right now who are just like, I don't know what to do.
So I'll open that. And I think a big thing in terms of the relationship with the parents, we listen to what our parents are saying, and we listen to what the children are saying, the students. But what we're getting from the parents is basically the same feedback that we're getting from the students. Either they love it or they dislike it. There's not a lot of in between in math. It's very black or white. So for the parents who are so receptive to it, we kind of like, we talk to them and kind of make sure that they understand what their student is doing, because we know that math looks different now. So we kind of talk to them and we kind of like reignite that love that they might have had as a student for themselves. And for the ones that, really kind of dislike and kind of stayed away from that topic and that subject area, we reintroduce it to them almost in a very gentle way, the same way that we will kind of approach the students. So it's kind of like reteaching them a subject. So now that they might have they're a little more receptive to it, those skills could be transferable to their child as well. And they may be able to kind of be more receptive when they're bringing in that homework and kind of push them and support them from an emotional standpoint. So they don't have that fear from a parent perspective, because a lot of times, we pass on our fears or our likes or dislikes to our children. So even a parent who might have enjoyed math and their scholar may not, that also can cause a disconnect as well. That happens. Or the opposite, a student who loves it and the parent's like, where did they get this from? So just kind of really try to connect them to where we want their child to be at. We try to connect them on that level. And I think that that's important, but I'm sure Candace.
Yeah. So other tips for parents listening would be, first of all, we always talk about focus on a child's confidence. So build the confidence up with your child and focus and celebrate growth. I always say, okay, they may come home with an assessment or something, and maybe it wasn't an A, but let's talk about what did you do better this time than last time, and just really celebrate that growth, because then that motivates the child to continue to keep doing better. Bring out their STEM identity. Talk to them about things that they may like and connect it to math, and also connect math with a lot of real world applications where you're going out. And it's not only about money. I know money is an easy way to talk about math in the real world, but maybe if you're shopping, you're looking at groceries, talk to them about unit rates, about pounds, and I'm buying this many pounds of apples, or whatever the case may be. Talk and try to do it as early as possible, even when you're with, like, if you have like a toddler and you're walking around with them, like, talk to them about the world and about the math that's going on around them. And then in the home, if you can, like, put up like certain anchor charts, maybe like if in their room, put up multiplication tables, because now they're seeing that every day and it's getting in their mind subconsciously to remember those times tables. And connecting and bake and cooking at home. So just bringing it back to the real world, pulling out their confidence, celebrating their growth, and letting them know that they really can tackle this subject, and be there for them and be understanding, and just focus on that confidence and what they're doing right. Positive praise as much as possible. Math.
I love that so much. I mean, you ladies, you're just really amazing, because what you're saying is, like, math is not something that just exists during this hour that we focus on tutoring and homework. That is a part of your everyday life, and it's going on around you, and helping children see and parents see that it's something that you can incorporate and you should incorporate throughout your day and throughout your life.
Yes.
I love that so much. I just think that it's such a powerful thing, because it's like, oh, I come home and school's at school and math does not exist when I'm at kind of thing.
It's really like a great feeling when you have a student at any level. But I would say for the students who come in and they're in so much need, and they have so much
Mhm.
anxiety towards math. And when you see them improving
Mhm.
and they come in, they show you their grades, or they
Mhm.
show you even just a check mark or a smiley face from their teacher, or
Right.
any kind of improvement or any kind
Mhm.
of positive praise that they've received,
Mhm.
it really kind of brings so much joy to us.
Right.
It makes me feel it makes me feel like it's my child. Like, I'm so
Right.
happy. Like, and
Right.
then you see like this sense of like pride. They
Mhm.
come in with a different type of, it's a different aura. Like, they're
Mhm.
excited. They're not running, they're not hiding anymore. And then when we go into the school setting, you can see those anxieties in those spaces, and there sometimes can be, they may look like behavioral issues, or they may look like a form of learning disability. It can look
Mhm.
so different, to so many different people. But sometimes, you just kind of need to just fine tune and just kind of focus on where the fear is coming from,
Mhm.
and just alleviate that. And it can make such a big difference in math, and just overall in life and other subjects. It just kind of just changes the student.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you're absolutely treating the whole child and impacting
Yeah.
them on a fundamental level, just not on their math
Yeah.
skills,
Yes.
for sure. You give a child confidence in one little small area in their life, and that is going to have a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
A student just got an 80 on his assessment, and his mom, she was so excited. She posted it online, and we're hearing 80. I know sometimes you hear an 80 and it's like, okay, that doesn't sound like an A, but where did this student come from? And
Yeah.
if you look back and see where he came from, and certain teachers may have said he could not do this and could, so we
Mhm.
celebrate even those things.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's been really important for us, and it's been important for us to connect with the child, with their family, and be a support system, and connect and build relationships. And like you said, I wrote something a couple years back about math tutoring being a form of therapy, because we're working to reduce anxiety, we're building relationships with students, and we're building their confidence, and we're bringing them joy in something that they need, and that can bring them success later on in life, or even success now. So it's a great feeling for us. We love it. We love when the children come in. We love working with kids and
Right.
they come in with their smiles, and it's really exciting. And we do whatever we can to make sure that they're smiling at all times. And it's just been a great journey for us from since we began until now. We hope to continue to keep growing, and having more partnerships, and reaching as many students as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you also building students' resilience, and they're going to learn, like, this is how I conquered my struggle with math. And when they encounter future obstacles, they're going to go, okay, this is manageable, because I was able
Yeah.
to succeed in math, which I thought was impossible. But
Absolutely.
now here I learned that I can overcome things that I feel are impossible. And now, I mean, you're just having so much impact. Are you surprised at the impact?
I am. I'm surprised. And I don't even think it really hits me. Sometimes I'm like driving, I'm like, wow, like, hold on, we really did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't really think about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. You're kind of, it's not that you're not thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so much about the impact. You're really thinking about, this is what I have to do right now for this child and what they need, and or for this family, because we're really working with families. We're talking to moms, we're talking to dads all day long.
Yeah.
And so, and then sometimes then you sit back and you're like, oh wow, we did that whole thing. And so it is sometimes surprising, and just, and we're getting the community excited about math. We had a pie day mixer, where people could come and have fun, and we have our back to school events where parents are like playing games to win prizes. They won bottles of wine, they won hats, and we got sponsors from local businesses. And so we're like, wow, we're getting people to talk about this subject in like outside. So sometimes that's surprising to me as well. What about you?
Yeah, I think as you mentioned, like with the community, for me, what kind of surprises me or what excites me are like the many diversities that we have at Why Hate Math. for me, I think that that's amazing. We have people of all ethnicities, all races. We have moms who come, dads, grandparents, siblings who support, and different people who come and support like their family member, their child, their cousins, like education from all walks of life. Like for me, I think that's like really exciting, really impressive, and it speaks a lot. It speaks a lot of volumes. It shows that we're more similar than people like to believe. Like we're really one people, and we all really have one goal, and that's to see like our children be able to be functional adults and succeed, and to be strong scholars and build their academic skills. So for me, I think that's like really exciting for us to have that responsibility for all of these people. And yeah, it's just really a great feeling. It really is a great feeling. Yeah, it's a
It
great
is.
feeling.
It's
Yeah.
so beautiful that this was kind of born out of a time when we were all so isolated too.
Yeah.
And you're bringing people together and families in the community. I feel honored to be able to share your story just
Thank you.
because
Yeah.
you're doing something very special. You have very unique special skills and you're doing something that is really phenomenal. And so you've had so much impact and you've done so much. Let's talk about you and how you're handling it and how you're managing it. Candace, how has this changed you and how do you balance? Like it takes a lot of energy. I've taught on a college level. It is draining to as much as you love the kids and teaching, it can deplete you. So how do you take care of yourself? What do you do for you?
Well, yeah, you're so right. It is a lot, right? Dealing with children and then running a business on top of
Right.
everything. And I just I actually, so when we first opened up, it was really a lot. I mean, you had to open up this space, you had to do all these things. And then, as time went by and you get your system going, it makes things a little better, but it's still every day is a different challenge. I love what I do. But I have to take time for myself and I try to as much as possible. I'm big on self-care. And I think it's like very important that you just take time to take care of yourself. Yes. I'm big on self-care.
What do you do? Well, like what fills your
Okay,
bucket?
so what I do, okay, one small thing that I do is like I love skincare right now. Like that's my big thing.
Yeah.
And I do it at night and I do it in the morning. And I was just like telling my friends, like skincare has been a form of self-care for me because you're actually taking care of yourself and you're putting that love into yourself and you're like, I'm doing this for me. Other than that, I like to go out with my friends and eat and have a good time and be social. If I can go to the spa, I will. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it will. We offer midwinter camp, we offer summer camp, but the one camp they continue to ask us for is spring break camp, and we said no because that's our only time to go away. So we take a vacation every year during spring break. So I'm really looking forward to that in April.
I love it.
And
How about you, Melinda? I mean, you're a
oh,
mom. I know Candace is an involved aunt,
very,
but
yeah.
yeah,
Whoa. Where do we start?
I know, right?
So there's so many different areas to touch with that, because how do I take care of self is what we're looking at, right? How do I kind of like keep myself from breaking down essentially?
Right.
And I think that I use different pockets. So I have an area where it's me focused with some of my friends who might be in similar situations. Some may be married or having children or single mom, just different, just people who can resonate with me and what I'm going through, whether that's, as we get older and, our bodies are changing, whether it's having those kind of conversations and just being open and vulnerable with, my friends, that's been very therapeutic for me. I do support therapy. I love therapy. It was a moment after I had my daughter that I resumed back with my therapist, and that was really a great time for me. And now I kind of use my village around me to kind of have those therapeutic moments where we have a lot of vulnerable times and we can kind of share and just kind of just real world things that's going on. Like, hey, have you noticed this? Is your hair thinning out? Because mine's just shedding a little bit. We share our vitamins, we share our tips with one another. And I think that's really been healthy for me to kind of make sure that, as you get wiser and you get older like that, I'm maintaining healthy relationships and cultivating these relationships that'll be lasting. So that's been something that's been very helpful for me in kind of like my wellness journey. As Candace said, I too like to do my spa days. We're all into skincare right now and hair care.
Everyone's and it shows.
Everyone's a Pilates girly. I love the Pilates. Very difficult, but just a lot of just hopping in your neighborhood wellness classes. That's always really helpful to kind of just unwind. And really just kind of just taking some days just to myself, and having that space really. So yeah, that's how I kind of just keep grounded, so to speak.
I think that's so important.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Candace.
No, I was gonna say you have to be intentional and every day just always think about that and just say, okay, because sometimes you get caught up on everything that you have to do and you have to always check in with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's been important for me to do that, and I try to as much as I can.
Yeah, just to even piggyback off that, and my husband mentioned it to me the other day. He was like, you are sometimes really hard on yourself when it comes to our daughter. Like with my daughter, she's 5, and maybe I am because again, I'm a parent too, so I understand when the parents are coming into YA math, and you want everything to be perfect, like immediately. Like you take them to these different classes, they're in dance class, they're in soccer, you want them to be, you want them to enjoy it, you want them to do well, you want them to feel happy. So you're just juggling back and forth. You're going from all these activities. My daughter does some therapy. She's in like speech therapy. So, I'm always happy like when she's showing growth in that. But you're just juggling, you're just moving, through your day. And sometimes you look up and you're like, whoa, where did my day go? Where did this time go? And you're like, did I really do anything for myself? I did so much for my child. I did so much for my business. I did so much for my family. Like, did I do anything for myself? So definitely really kind of like trying to maintain a schedule for yourself is important.
Yes.
And that might seem like a lot to say. I might need to put self-care Sunday on the calendar and block this out. So we know that this is mom's time, or just a random time in the week. It's important to kind of maintain these things and just not let yourself like just go essentially.
Yeah.
Because it can happen.
That's why I bring it up whenever I can, because being a mom and being an entrepreneur can be so isolating, and you're wearing all the hats and doing all the things, and you have to make sure, whether it's putting it on your calendar or somehow setting up a schedule or something. It's like, because the days can just go by and you have neglected yourself. And we also fall into this trap where we think we have to do everything, right? I'm sure you see that among parents and students, but
and that was one of the big things that I had to learn as an entrepreneur. I had mentors. I was in this program where I got to like have mentors from Visa to teach me about business, and one of the big things that I took away was you can't do everything, and you have to learn how to start delegating different tasks and trusting other people to do things for your business. And that's been a big thing that has helped me as well, because I was always like, I want this way, but you have to trust people to do things and help you out. You can't do everything.
Yeah, and merging that into, I guess, the mompreneur life, you also have to kind of release some tasks and responsibilities from yourself as a mom, even to your partner. It could be your spouse, just your partner in general, like your grandparents, friends that you trust, just family members that you trust. Like, you have to kind of relinquish some of these responsibilities. And sometimes we tuck them away. We don't even want to share them because we're like, who's going to do it like me? Like, I'm the best at this. No one, and
letting go of the perfectionism.
letting go of the perfection. And you don't really even, you could sometimes probably never figure out if someone can help you because we don't even try.
Right.
And then in the instance, if we do share that responsibility with someone and it's not up to our standard, then we kind of pull it back. So kind of like allowing a space for someone else to kind of like lighten the load a little bit for you. Very important. Something that I had to learn. Same thing. Like, that was a business tip that she received, but that is like transferable into being a mom and being an entrepreneur as a mom, because you will burn out. So you have to feel safe to kind of like give up some of those tasks that you want to take on. You actually may not even want to do the tasks, honestly.
Right.
But so you might not want to do the task, but you know what the goal of that task looks like. And we have to kind of like just kind of reach out and accept if people are willing to help you
and figure out what, and I'm not a mom yet, but figure out what works well for your family. And not just because I know how many activities these students do.
Yeah.
And it may be, well, my daughter's classmates also doing dance and this, which is fine. But sometimes you might have to say, okay, well, this day my child's just going to be at home and doing nothing or whatever, because now you don't want to be driving around going to 1,000,001 activities, because you need to have that balance for your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've definitely had to learn that in our family. My youngest daughter is a talented ballet dancer, and despite that talent, we've just had to make decisions for our own sanity to step back from that and bring some more balance. And that's really hard because you want to encourage them to do as much as they can, and man, it's really hard. So I love that you're reminding us to seek that balance and to seek support and to take care of yourself. It's such a great reminder. So you're leaving a legacy of the students you're impacting, but now you're also part of this bigger community of female entrepreneurs and mom entrepreneurs. What legacy do you want to leave for future entrepreneurs, or what takeaway do you want to leave for those listeners who are just starting or growing their businesses?
You can start. Okay, so for me, the big takeaway for female entrepreneurs, it's Women History Month, so it's just been that you can pretty much do, and I know it's gonna sound cliche, but you can do whatever you want. But I know that sounds cliche, but there's just so many different specialties that you can make into a reality. So I always say, take what you're really good at and just be the best at it. For me, it was math, and I would have never thought that I would have an impact, and we're building this brand that people are talking about and actually wearing our merch on the street. But I think it was my father who told me, like, you can take something that may not be seen as like really the coolest thing and you can make it cool. But if you just have to have that consistency and keep going with whatever it is that you're doing and just be the best. And it can be something very niche too. I think niche is really in right now. But if you're really good at it and you're consistent and you have integrity, then you can do whatever it is that you want to do.
I think that was great. I'm going to actually share something that you have introduced to me, Candace, which is living in a feminine space. And Candace has been an extreme advocate of that for like the past year now, because a lot of times and this is what I've taken from what she's kind of shared with me is, when we kind of step into certain roles in certain spaces, you're executive or you're kind of advancing in your career, or you're an entrepreneur and you're kind of running the ship on your own, we kind of take a masculine approach to it.
Mhm.
And while it's like, it's fair to kind of take a little bit, we still need to maintain that femininity and be okay with being women and be okay with everything that entails. And she has been kind of like just stressing that to our friend group. And I'm like, yeah, like we are women and it's okay to act as a woman, as a leader.
Yeah.
And we don't have to take on how a male will act because we're not men. And that's okay. So I think that really kind of like embracing being feminine women in our spaces. And so you bring that nurturing side, like, we don't have to bring the strong tones or kind of like bring in what, the male might generally bring in. Like, so I think that is important. And being okay with acting for a little help, we don't have to be damsel in distress, but a little bit is okay, and kind of like really take on support, as I said before. But also just for the women entrepreneurs around, I do think that it is important to trust what you love.
Mm.
And we already have like such a hard time in like physical image, what we look like, how our clothes fit, how our hair laid, everything. So now, you kind of like mirror that with, I want to start a business, or even I want to grow in my career, and now we're doing so much comparisons to, other women and how they look and how their life is perceived. Are they married? Do they live in this grand house? And you sway from what you really want and what you really love. So sometimes when I'm talking to the students, I pull them aside, like almost in a whisper, like, what do you really like? And you might hear something that's so left field. You might think they might say, oh, I want to do nails, or I want to get into beauty, or I want to get into, and they might tell you something totally left field. And it's like, they may not feel comfortable actually saying that out loud because, as Candace said, it may not look as cool. It may not look as neat. And it may not look like the woman that I think I want to be. So I think it's important to kind of like focus on what you like, focus on what you love, and be okay with building that up. Be okay with building that up. I think that really can like continue to push us forward, honestly. Yeah.
Such beautiful reminders. We talk about all of those things on the podcast. I myself, built a legal career with a lot of masculine energy and thought that success didn't look or sound like me. And now we're 175 episodes in at this point, and that has totally been debunked. And so I too am on this mission to help women, no matter how they show up, to own that's what uniquely makes us women. And that's what I think the world wants. There is this paradigm shift. There are the Taylor Swifts and the Beyoncés and it's like it is our time, and it is our time to step forward in our power, and you're demonstrating that. And thank you so much for doing that. And so I'm just such a great conversation. This is why I started this podcast. So you've given us so much to think about as parents, as women, as mothers, as students, and so as entrepreneurs. So, how can listeners connect with you and support your mission and be part of it?
So you could either, if you're in the New York area, our math lab is in Brooklyn and Bedford-Stuyvesant. And if not, you could connect with us online at www.whyhatemath.com. And recently, we actually formed a nonprofit for families who may need financial assistance with sending their students to Why Hate Math for math tutoring. And that's the Math Lab Foundation.org. So that's mathlabfoundation.org. So you can find us in any of those spaces online, or you can stop by and visit us in person. We always welcome our visitors. So yeah.
And we're on Instagram at Why Hate Math.
I love
Yeah.
it. And I'll leave links to all of that so listeners can connect with you and be inspired and start to get into the energy of loving math.
Yes, I love it.
Oh, thank you, Candace. And thank you, Melinda. I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm lost. No, thank you so much to you
Yes.
both for being here and just sharing your experience and your expertise. And I love it.
Thank you for having us. This is
Yeah.
an amazing podcast. I
Aw.
when I heard the name, I'm like, this is just sounds
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, no, listen, thank you for
Thank you
for
so
providing
much.
this platform. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Amazing.
you're both
Yes.
why I started this podcast. So I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.